No! Well, that is the authentic Dark Souls experience. I've heard it mentioned a couple of times, this game GrimLords, that is supposed to be kind of a VR Dark Souls. I was always a bit skeptical of that premise because, you know, Dark Souls has rather slow and impactful combat, and I really did not know how that would translate to VR, or to motion controls in particular. While not convinced, I was at least a bit curious to see if the Dark Souls reference is just name dropping or if there's some substance to it. The developers put out a demo and I figured, hell, why not, let's try it. And I ended up enjoying it a lot. During October there then was an early alpha test phase, which added enough content to get a fairly good grasp of where the game is going. So I thought I would show you guys and take this opportunity to share my thoughts on the current state of the game and what I think could be made better. In short, give feedbacks to the developers. Maybe they watch this and maybe it helps. Let's dive in. Here we are in town. For now it's supposed to be more functional than pretty, I assume. There are 3 nodes you can interact with: the stash, where you can stash your weapons. Every weapon you put in here once you can always retrieve, even if you lose it somewhere in the world. It has an item tab, which seems useless for now. In the second node you can smelt weapons for currency, gold, which also seems pretty much useless as you get tons of gold by killing enemies. Then there's the anvil that lets you craft weapons. You can customize some of them. Some customizations don't do much, but others will change the way the weapon will handle, swapping between one-handed and two-handed grips or changing the length of the shaft. When swinging, it is very apparent how they try to go for this heavy Souls-like combat. The weapons have simulated weight. This is done by limiting the speed you can swing them, and with this they are also slowing down combat. The size of the weapon obviously dictates the weight, so with the dagger you can stab pretty fast. In the demo my loadout of choice was a one-handed axe and a shield. Then I will go with an ice staff because that was incredibly overpowered. Let's see if it still is. If all weapons end up being equally viable, that would be great, so you can try and find the loadout best suited to your playstyle. So the beginning area is new. Alright, this looks pretty. Let's see if I still got it. Blocking feels very satisfying. It feels very heavy. Ooh, stop it, dude. Alright, they can knock the shield out of your hand. I really like the design of the world. It's missing a bit of vegetation here. We get into the game world via a portal. When they flesh out the city, I would consider making it a part of the world that would feel it more immersive. The portal is your standard bonfire. You can teleport between each one you unlock, you can rest to heal and refill your health and mana flasks, and you will respawn at the last bonfire if you happen to die. All these actions will respawn all enemies as you would expect. Oh no, oh no, I feel like I blocked that. There's so many. Try to get under the helmet. Let's whip out the staff. Yep, still incredibly overpowered. If you're wondering what the X on the screen is, you have 4 weapon slots, and this is a game telling me that I can't put my shield into the left side weapon slot because it's a big weapon that goes on the back. This is some strange visual glitch here. The terrain changes with player position. That's trippy. I tend to leave my arms hanging when not in combat, and I always had to lift them up to get rid of the X, so I would love to see the possibility to customize the position of your weapon slots. Ooh, this guy looks heavily armored. He's down, he's down. Not fast enough. Come on, die already. And down he goes. Can I turn this? Seems to be stuck. There we go. This seemed to have opened the gate, probably a loop back to the beginning of the area. Yes. As we are going through the Souls-like tropes, your gold are your souls, same mechanics. You drop all if you die again before retrieving it, your shinies will be lost forever. There's not much to do with the gold for now. You can craft weapons, but in this version you have enough gold in the beginning of the game to craft everything you need. For now the Souls gold mechanic does not seem to have a purpose except giving some genre recognition. I guess there will be a progression system tied to this, but that was not part of the alpha. Same with RPG elements. The game is supposed to be an action RPG, but for now there are no RPG elements in the game. With all the references to Dark Souls, I suppose the RPG elements are going to tie in with the progression system. These are important aspects of the Souls-like genre, and I hope they will put out an example of how these systems are going to work sooner rather than later. There are archers above the gate. Evil. Oh no. So the shield gets knocked out of your hand when blocking sometimes. It's not that bad because you can remote grab it pretty easy to get it back. Thing is, the same thing can happen when parrying with a weapon. I feel like the shield is pretty powerful as it is. It's way easier to block than to parry, so I would be fine if they limit the knocking out of hand mechanics to shields to balance them out a bit. In your face. Alright, where is my axe? There it is. It glitched partly into the ground. Not a big deal as long as there are no places where the equipment vanishes completely beneath the floor. Cause you know, you can lose stuff. Sometimes it's hard to tell when they are dead. Now he's dead. The human enemies have an audio cue when dead. Maybe the zombies should have that too. Oh god. Come on, ice crystal. Okay, he doesn't freeze, fair enough. Die. There's your small one-time use health potions that you find in the world, and then there's your Estus flask that will recharge at a portal. You can drink as much as you need. You can lose your health flask if you drop it. If that happens, you have to return to town to grab a new one. I think it's okay that you have to take care of your health flask, you know, so you don't lose it, but they should give you a new one at a portal so you save the trip to town. So I managed to lose my shield. It got knocked out of my hand and I could not find it. On the way back to town to get a new one, I found this chest. It contained a ruby and a new loot bag to the beginning of the area. Exploring a bit is rewarded. With the ruby I could buy a fire staff, excited to see how overpowered that thing would be. And I got a dagger, I figured that would help to kill downed enemies. Let's see how this thing does. Alright, I guess. It costs like no mana though. And it staggers the enemy, having them repeat their attack animations. Okay, easy mode activated. The mana potion is also very potent. Up here is actually the room with the archers above the gate that were pestering me earlier. They don't seem to be aware of me though. Hello? Dude? Oh wow, he's still alive. There's a small visual glitch here where one corner of the room is way darker than the rest. And we can open the gate. Wow, even the heavy armor dudes go down so quick. Alright, there's a wizard. He summons zombies, fair enough. Ooh. Let's try to get the archer first. And now for you, necromancer. I guess we climb here. Climbing feels very floaty. Okay, it teleported me up. I feel that the climbing as it is implemented now is somewhat contradicting the core design of the game. Everything else is rather slow and heavy, and the climbing feels completely weightless. And it also hurts world design. Why can't your character scale like a 10 cm curb, but as soon as someone paints a hand on the wall you suddenly climb like you weigh nothing at all? It makes the world feel gamey. So we reach our first bonfire. I like the design of the new area a lot. The level design is centered around the concept of loot bags. Unlocking these gives you a satisfying sense of progression, not character progression but world progression. You know, if you die you don't have to do that part again. It is like a little version of the sense of accomplishment you get when reaching a new bonfire. There are some off the track areas to explore but not many. They should lean more into that, create more branching paths, more optional areas to explore and stuff to find. That would make the world feel bigger and less linear. Well, this dude seems a bit challenged with the situation. Oh, scimitar looks nice. Oh no, my arm is stuck. Got it. I gotta say, the weapons are really pretty in this game. Props to the design team. Another bonfire already? This area was really short. Or isn't it? Oh, you can just exit it from one direction. That might need tweaking. I accidentally changed the grip. That's cool. There we go. You have a big axe, my dude. Brutal. Yeah, scimitar works. Oh, the shield bash. I like that I can just hit above his shield. The hitboxes are very precise. Another loop back to the last bonfire, love to see it. I think this inside part of the castle is a bit too linear. You have these loopbacks, but there's always only one path to progress. Directly after raising the bridge there's another portal. That seems a bit pointless, as there are no enemies between the last two portals. You can grab the enemies, and they are pretty much deactivated when you do. Only seems to work with the lowly zombies though, still pretty powerful. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem possible to use them as a shield, as enemy arrows seem to fly right through them. That might be something fun to add. So the trick for the shield dudes is to block and then to grab. Yep. Whoa, where did these come from? Usually there's a little spawn in animation, not here. They are actually not that hard to deal with once you figure out how. That is good enemy design right here. It feels like the tail end of the health potion becomes less potent. That is a bit unintuitive. The boss fight is a bit underwhelming. He has like 3 attack animations, only one phase. Look, people are going to compare this game to Dark Souls. That is by design. I really would have expected the boss to rise again as a Skeleton King with another set of attacks. Or that you shatter his armor and it turns out beneath it is actually a demon that then spreads his wings and takes to the sky to rain fire upon you. Or something along those lines. They could get way more creative, not only with the boss but with enemy design in general. That the enemies in all From Software games are so strange is not only an aesthetic choice, it plays a very central role to the core gameplay. They are so foreign and alien that it is impossible to read them as you encounter them for the first time. You will have to learn every single enemy from scratch, and the game throws new enemies at you around every corner. GrimLord restricts itself by having the enemies all be humanoid and bound to familiar weaponry. You can more or less predict what an enemy will do just by looking at it. The thing I personally find most compelling about From Software games is not that they are difficult, it is the way the difficulty is balanced. You constantly get pushed into situations which seem impossible to solve, and after a few tries you usually get it. And that gives such a great sense of accomplishment. This happens all the time, not only for the boss fights, making the games a constant mixture of frustration and dopamine rush. That you have to learn every single enemy is an important part of that formula, and that part is missing from GrimLords. The big axe dude and the heavy armor guy go in the right direction, but they are still very easy to read. The game could do much more in that direction. Taking on the boss in melee is a lot harder. It has this AoE attack that is not blockable and can be frustrating because you are so slow in this game. There's not really a counter for that. Same goes for the shield bash of the common zombies. Usually Souls-like games give the player the iconic dodge roll to deal with this. That might be a bit hard to do in VR, but it could be a good idea to add a dash, like Until You Fall does it for example, only a bit slower and heavier feeling. That would give the player another tool in the combat sandbox to play around with and would make melee builds more viable. Sure enough, the game still needs work, but the core of the experience, combat, apart from some balancing issues, is really fun, feels very impactful and has excellent feedback. You can clearly see where the priority for the studio lays, and it is exactly where it needs to be. With combat as good as it is, they have a very solid foundation to build upon. I can't wait to see where the game is going and hope we see more of the progression system, RPG elements and world building soon. If you like what you saw here and wish to support the developer, that is very easy to do, just wishlist the game on Steam. That helps them to get more exposure on the platform. There's a link in the description below. That is it for me today, thanks for watching and see you next time.